Hey everyone, and welcome to this Ultimate Exam Prep Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through this material today because we're going to take the entire revenue and receipt cycle and break it down into a really logical, highly structured journey. Think of me as your expert tutor today. We are taking all that dry textbook theory and turning it into a clear, step-by-step masterclass. If you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by assertions, control objectives, or those massive document flows, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to make this completely intuitive. All right, let's dive right in.
To give you a clear mental roadmap for your exam, we'll follow a single transaction through these 6 stages. 1. Revenue cycle fundamentals. 2. Orders and credit management. 3. Warehouse and dispatch. 4. Invoicing and adjustments. 5. Receiving and recording cash. And 6. Computerized versus manual systems.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Revenue Cycle Fundamentals.
Okay, the ultimate formula for passing your exam hinges on you linking 3 very specific things: a risk, a control objective to mitigate that risk, and the corresponding financial statement assertion. Think of it like your own house, right? A business risk is what could go wrong, like a burglar trying to steal your TV. The control objective is what you put in place to stop it, like installing a heavy-duty deadbolt. And the assertion is basically management's claim to the auditor, saying, hey, I assert that my house is completely secure and all my assets actually exist. If you can link these 3 concepts, risk, control, and assertion in your head, you are absolutely gonna ace this topic.
So, here is the high-level flow of the entire cycle. Step 1, receiving the order. Step 2, dispatching the goods. Step 3, raising the invoice. And Step 4, getting paid. Tracking the paper trail through these 4 steps creates the perfect memory palace for your exam. Seriously, if you get lost during a test or start panicking during a massive essay question, just close your eyes and walk through these steps. Where are you in the building? Are you in the warehouse? Are you in accounting? Let this literal timeline guide your answers and structure your thoughts.
Moving right along to Section 2, Orders and Credit Management.
Let's walk into our first room, the order department. You'll really want to memorize the logic of this matrix. The core function here is taking a customer order and turning it into an internal sales order, or ISO. But here's the catch. When an order comes in, the immediate risk is selling to someone who won't ever pay us, or accepting an order when we are completely out of stock. So what's our manual control? An independent credit controller has to set strict credit limits, and a clerk must manually check the inventory list. This ensures the validity of the transaction, which directly feeds the existence assertion of our debtors. Because, think about it, if a debtor is completely fake or bankrupt, that balance doesn't truly exist. Now, to contrast this with a computerized environment, a human wouldn't sit there manually checking these limits. The system's application controls would just automatically block the order from processing if that master file credit limit is exceeded.
I want you to really think about the dramatic stakes here. What actually happens if we ship goods to a customer who can't pay? It is not just some harmless paperwork error. If we fail at this very first step, physical inventory vanishes out the door, the associated revenue is permanently lost, and bad debts just skyrocket. You're essentially giving away the company's assets for free. It's an absolute nightmare.
To prevent that kind of disaster, management has to build an absolute fortress of credit management. We're talking strict credit applications, where they thoroughly check trade references. A senior manager must authorize those credit limits. The accounting department needs to be sending out monthly statements promptly and aggressively monitoring the age analysis to see exactly who is 60 or 90 days overdue. And why is the age analysis so absolutely crucial? Because it's a proven fact. The longer a debt sits untouched, the colder it gets, and the less likely you are to ever see a dime of that cash. Without these proactive controls, the whole cycle collapses before it even starts.
Next up, Section 3, Warehouse and Dispatch.
The order has been vetted and approved, so now we move to handling the physical goods. Just look at this strict sequence of documents. Now, we aren't going to look at boring pictures of forms here because it's the flow of data that truly matters. The customer order translates into an internal sales order. The SO generates a picking slip for the warehouse staff. That picking slip then becomes a delivery note for the delivery truck, which finally triggers the invoice. Visualizing this specific chain of data transfer is absolutely crucial for testing completeness. If a picking slip is generated but there's no delivery note, well, we have a break in the chain. That means goods might have been picked but never actually shipped, or maybe they shipped but were never recorded.
All right, let's break down the warehouse matrix. The main function here is picking and shipping, using the picking slip and the delivery note. The massive risk, inaccurate picking. sending the wrong items, sending the wrong quantities, or worst of all, sending goods out the door without recording them at all. So the key manual control is a rigorous physical cross-reference. A clerk must literally stand there and match the delivery note to the picking slip before they tape the box shut. This proves the completeness of revenue and the existence of inventory. Now jump to a computerized system. This manual cross-referencing is completely replaced by handheld barcode scanners. The warehouse worker scans the item and the system instantly verifies it against the digital picking slip, which practically eliminates human error on the spot.
And this brings us to a golden rule for your exam, the dispatch rule. Goods must always, and I mean without exception, be accompanied by 2 copies of the delivery note, and one of those copies must be signed by the customer and returned to the company. Never, ever forget the customer's signature. That signature is the ultimate, undeniable audit evidence that the transfer of risks and rewards actually occurred. Without it, you have literally no proof a sale ever took place.
Which brings us to Section 4, Invoicing and Adjustment. The goods have safely left the building, the customer signed for them, so it's finally time to capture the sale and hit the general ledger. In the invoicing department, the clerk has a really heavy responsibility. Their function is to generate the sales invoice using the signed delivery note and update the sales journal and debtor's ledger. The risk? Missing invoices for actual deliveries or using the wrong prices and VAT. The manual control here is famous in auditing. It's called the 3-way match. The clerk matches the signed delivery note against the internal sales order and the newly generated invoice. This ensures we only bill exactly what was shipped at the exact price ordered. It proves completeness and cutoff. But if this were a fully integrated IT system, the moment the dispatch is confirmed on a digital tablet, the system automatically performs this 3-way match in the background and generates the invoice without a human ever touching a calculator.
But what could possibly go wrong when manually recording sales? Well, a lot actually. If an invoice is omitted, your revenue is understated. If it's duplicated, revenue is artificially overstated. If a transaction is recorded in March, but the goods shipped in February, your cutoff assertion has totally failed. And listen, you must always watch out for credit notes. Fraudsters absolutely love using unauthorized credit notes to secretly write off a debtor's balance to hide cash they've stolen, a scheme known as lapping. That is exactly why independent supervisors must review batch totals and constantly investigate any gaps in numerical document sequences.
Almost at the finish line. Section 5, Receiving and Recording Cash.
We've recorded the sale, but honestly, a transaction isn't truly complete until the cold hard cash hits the bank account. Now we're in the receipts department. We've got deposit slips, the cash receipts journal, and bank statements. The glaring risk here is simply that cash is stolen before it hits the bank, and the deposit is just never recorded. How do we stop this manually? Strict separation of duties. The person recording the receipt in the cash book absolutely cannot be the same person doing the daily bank reconciliation. If they are, they can easily manipulate the records to hide their own theft. This separation secures the occurrence of cash receipts and the valuation of your debtors. In a modern digital setup, though, this manual bank rec is usually replaced by automated software that matches incoming electronic funds transfers directly to open invoices, instantly flagging only the unmatched exceptions for human review.
And if we're talking about physical retail cash sales, oh man, the dangers multiply exponentially. Cash sales present unique, frankly terrifying risks for auditors. There is a super high risk of physical theft right out of the till, and a high risk of collusion, like a cashier just letting their friend walk out with an expensive item without ringing it up. This requires a veritable fortress of controls. Access-controlled cash registers, daily independent cash-ups where 2 people count the till together in a locked room, and prompt physical banking so large amounts of cash never sit around overnight.
And finally, Section 6, Computerized versus Manual Systems. Up to this point, we've talked a lot about physical signatures and pieces of paper while giving you glimpses into the digital world. Let's put them head to head. In a manual system, an exhausted human clerk has to sit with a huge physical pile of pre-printed invoices and manually check that numbers 1 through 100 are all present. It takes hours, and honestly, humans make mistakes. In a computerized system, automated application controls generate those sequential numbers automatically, and the system instantly flags any gap in real time on an exception report. The crucial takeaway here: the computer doesn't change the underlying control objective of completeness. We still care deeply about completeness. The technology just achieves it way faster and far more accurately.
Now look at how authorization shifts. Manually, a credit controller physically signs a piece of paper. But in a computerized system, the system just throws an error message and automatically blocks the order if the master file credit limit is exceeded.
The human element is totally removed at the transaction level. So as an auditor, your testing focus completely shifts. You aren't digging for physical signatures on thousands of invoices anymore. The auditor tests the IT general controls and audits exactly who has the password access to change those limits in the master file in the first place.
Want some incredibly easy marks on your exam? Just use these specific automated application control phrases in your answers. Instead of saying a clerk manually checks prices, write down automated master file price checks. Instead of a clerk checking the math on a calculator, mention system-configured VAT calculations. Instead of a clerk hunting for missing pieces of paper, write exception reports for unmatched delivery notes. These automated controls drastically reduce human error, and exception reports are literally an auditor's best friend because they tell you exactly where the system failed.
So let's look at our original 4 steps one last time, but fully upgraded for the digital age. Step 1 becomes an automated credit check against the master file. Step 2 is a system-generated picking slip instantly popping up on a warehouse tablet. Step 3 is an auto-update of the inventory ledger the exact second the digital invoice is confirmed. And Step 4 is EFT auto-reconciliation through banking APIs. Notice how the slow paper trail becomes a lightning-fast digital data flow, but the core anatomy of the transaction and the assertions management is making remain entirely identical.
I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. If the internal controls in the revenue and receipt cycle fail, how can an auditor truly trust any number on the income statement? Think about it. Revenue is the absolute lifeblood of a business. It drives operations, it dictates profits, it is the whole shebang. As you prep for your exam, just remember, if the controls fail here, the entire set of financial statements is fundamentally compromised. Master this cycle, master those risk control assertion matrices, understand the shift to digital systems, and you will undoubtedly crush this exam. Happy studying. You've got this.